What's up everyone, Murph here. Another camping video. It's been a while. We're doing something a little bit different that I haven't done before, and that is camping and hunting. So I've always done ice fishing, some trapping sort of stuff, but the last few years I really got into bow hunting, and I love it. I'm obsessed. So I'm out here in Wisconsin today. We got a buck tag, we got a doe tag, and we got 4 days here, 4.5 days to hunt. Then we're gonna be going back to Minnesota for a couple weeks, and then another 5 to 8 days depending on how much time I need to get it done here. So we'll kind of go over the setup really quick. Obviously, good old truck the way we've always had it. I got a new 4-inch memory foam pad. Slept on that last night. It was awesome. Bow, arrows, hunting bag, sticks, vinyl harness. We got my hip waders, and we got my chest waders in case we need to cross water, which today I think we're going to. We got the old 12-volt fridge running good here. Just got a bunch of meals already prepped in there, just need to heat them up. Then in the truck, we got extra target for shooting in the down times during the day when I'm not hunting all day. All my hunting clothes in a bin here. And then in the back we got the water jug, very important. And then 2 coolers, some extra boots, and then the tool chest with all the tools in case something happens, we need to fix something. I'm about to head out and do a little bit of scouting. I was already out for a few hours this morning scouting. Found one really good spot that I really like, maybe a rut spot, so that might be later, but might try it depending on what I find. Today and tomorrow are mostly scouting, but I will hunt the evening time because it's warm. It's gonna be 80 today, 70 something tomorrow, but then it's gonna be 50 on Wednesday, 60 on Thursday, and then Friday 60 again. But I'm only gonna hunt in the morning and then head back. So I'm looking to take one doe this week. There's a high population here, especially compared to where I am in Minnesota. So hopefully I can get one doe, get some meat, have meat for the rest of the hunting season to be eaten, and then when I come back, just be buckled down going for a nice buck, just respectable one, not anything giant. I've never shot anything big, so I just want a respectable one. Quick update: been scouting for all morning and afternoon after that little break. Found okay sign at the first spot, bumped a doe, went to the second spot. It's a small area, it took me like 30 minutes to scout. I actually found it on top of a good ridge, a good spot near a cornfield in a secluded spot where I don't think people are ever getting to, and bumped a little 1.5-year-old buck out of there. So interesting spot, might maybe try that during the rut, we'll see. But then came to this giant area and scouted out an area here that I knew before. Not much up there. There was some hunter sign and not much deer sign. Went down to this new part of this spot, not much for a while, some trails, and then all of a sudden, boom, scrape with just a torn apart licking branch tree in front of it. Went a little further, bang, fresh scrape within the last few days, fresh rubs within the last few days. Walked a little further, found like a giant community scrape, then kept walking, following this trail, rubs along it, scrapes along it. So that looked promising. I'm gonna go out there, get in a tree that looked good right now. It's south wind. I think I could see where the bedding was. It was some thick stuff, and that seemed to all kind of come out of it. I'm gonna try there. It is hot, so I'm gonna try and get close to the bedding, and we'll see what we see. All right, day 2 truck camping in Wisconsin. Just noon right now, making a little bit of lunch on the stove. A few updates for you. I hunted last night, had a fawn come by about 10 minutes before close. Nothing besides that, and that area that it was just torn apart with scrapes and rubs. Got a good night's sleep, woke up, went out and scouted all morning. Went all around this huge property, and I found a lot of good stuff. Back in this back area, I found a ton of bedding. And then unfortunately, when I was back there, I just found a bunch of cell cams, like 5 or 6 of them, which sucked, but I was still seeing deer. There's does back there feeding up on their feet. I bumped a couple. Some I saw and didn't scare. I just kind of went around them. So that was a good sign. Not a ton of buck sign, but then when I got kind of out to the edge where I wasn't seeing cell cams or people sign anymore. Started to see some rubs and scrapes. Then just kept going around this whole area, connected back to the area that I've hunted last night with that was tore up. And what I concluded was they're going to that area in the middle of the night. There's no bedding anywhere near them, but all around on the edge, on the ridges, and then in the bottoms, kind of back where I was, there's bedding. So I think in the middle of the night, they're coming and they're leaving a bunch of sign there, and they're just out away from there. Gonna scout another place and then hunt these areas that look good over the next few days, and we'll see what happens. We got day 4 now. The last 2 nights were eventful. I didn't recap 2 nights ago. Went out to an area that I scouted my way in, looked good, found a tree, went up it, had open woods on 2 sides, bedding on 2 sides. It was hot, so didn't know what to expect. But with about 45 minutes left of light, a little buck came meandering through. He was around me for about 15 minutes, just feeding around. Then slowly a doe started working in towards me. He got like right under my tree, eventually got downwind of me, started smelling me, walked around to the side, was looking straight up at me, and then he was looking back and forth between me and the doe, me and the doe. Then he just started smelling a bunch towards her direction, mouth open, and then he put his head down and just started chasing her, and they chased all over the woods. Then it was past dark then, so I was clear, started getting down. More deer started coming in as I was getting down that I couldn't see. Got out of there as quiet as I could. Nothing blew, nothing busted out of there. Hiked out. More deer I could hear around me as I was hiking out, so a good night. Then finally we had, yesterday morning, we had cold weather move in. Woke up, it was about 40. Went to that area that had the trail cams around it because I thought the way the wind was blowing, I could get away from all the cams where all the hunter sign was, and there was a good trail over there, and I was hoping maybe a buck would cruise by there, smelling the bedding areas as he went by. Didn't see any, but a deer busted me right as I got into my tree and was about to set up, which sucked. Didn't know what it was, but it blew and started running off, blowing as it was running off, so that sucked. Came back to the truck, ate all day, scouted, went probably 5 or 6 miles, found a lot of stuff, got a good lay of the land here. Went back out to that area that buck and doe was at, maybe about 200 yards away from it. Had a bunch of does come in. They were all like about 100 yards away, but at one point there was 6 does all in a group. Fawns, does running around. Fawn ran and was right next to me. She got downwind of me, smelled me, kind of got scared, started running a little bit. Then the main doe of the group noticed her doing that, and then she came over and was working super slow. She didn't get downwind of me, and I think she saw the sticks on my tree and started looking up and was just staring at me for so long, trying to like look around and look up at me. Couldn't really tell what I was, but she knew I was something. And then by this time it was dark and I was ready to get down, but she was there. Another doe was by her, and then all those other does were off where they had been feeding. Then I heard bleh, bleh. Look over, I see a bigger deer, and then I see the rack. It's clearly a buck. Too dark for me to tell exactly how big it was, but it was probably about a 2-year-old, maybe a 3-year-old. Finally, I just started moving, let that main doe that was still there locked onto me. I let her blow and run off. The other deer actually didn't run off. She just blew and ran off by herself. They eventually worked away as I was getting down, and I was able to get out of there relatively clean. So yeah, good night again. Then I went out this morning to just a random spot I thought on the top of a ridge I thought might look good, and had a little spike buck come in, feed around near me. There was acorns up there, and then slowly work out. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, so just here getting some lunch. Gonna head out to a new spot, scout that, put probably 4 or 5 miles on again, then come back here, eat, and head out to that same spot. And I'm gonna try and take a doe tonight. Tomorrow will be my last day. I'll only have the morning to hunt here, so just gonna try and get a doe and go home with some meat, and then come back in a week and a half. That's the 3rd buck I've seen. That was the only one that came by. The first one that stood up in the bedding right over here was a shooter. It was a nice buck. Then another one, right as I noticed that, maybe 2 minutes later, another nice one. I probably wouldn't shoot it, but a nice 8-point stood up. They both worked the same scrape. Then they went off different directions. I hope that big one comes by. Then that little one stood up. About 15 minutes later, he worked the same scrape and then just walked right by me at 5 yards. After feeding around, they literally stood up. I took probably an hour to get from 200 yards away over there to this tree, and then another 20 minutes to set up. Because last night there was a buck here and 6 does, all in this one bedding area. So I want to get really quiet in here. It's supposed to maybe rain after last light, and it's cloudy and cooler. I think that has a movement. We'll see. About to wrap up my last hunt here in Wisconsin for round 1 here. Saw 11, 12 deer this morning. Probably more than that, honestly. There was just so many all over, off in the distance. I think 5 bucks, all small, all 1.5-year-olds. I'll show you what I got going on here. So we got bedding over here. There's a nice scrape there. I haven't been over there, but I've seen like 4 or 5 bucks hit that. Then this is all open, up and down through here. It's a nice funnel. And then there's bedding over here, everywhere. And then there's another open funnel through there. I've seen the most deer far out through there move, but a lot have moved through here right where I am too. The only deer that have come by and given me a shot are the small bucks. None of the does have been within range, and the one big shooter buck I saw, he was out over there, hit that scrape, and he worked off the other way. I'm going home for a week and a half, but I'll be back. And I got good intel on this spot and one other spot where I got 2 spots. That looked really good. Saw the stuff I was looking for. This was one of them. There's not a lot of sign here. Like, very little. A few scrapes. Very few rubs. But I've seen so many bucks in here and just a ton of does. Tons of bedding. Wide open. All the other hunters I haven't seen getting back to this spot. So that encourages me. One main takeaway from this trip, I've run into some other hunters and stuff around here, and they're like, we're not seeing a lot of sign. It should be getting going. They should be starting to chase and stuff. I saw that one little buck chase that doe a couple nights ago, but it was a little 1.5-year-old. When I've seen the few bigger bucks I've seen, they've been with the other deer or around the other deer with each other. They're not fighting, they're not chasing, they're not acting like they're running yet. So it's a good time to find a lot of deer and now come back in a week and a half and they will be getting going. And there's so many does in here. Like I saw almost 10 today. I've seen almost 10 every night in here. There's gonna be bucks in here once the rut starts. Once all these does come into heat, there's gotta be a bunch of bucks coming down in here. So I'm excited for that. Fun to get out truck camping again. Something a little different, hunting and truck camping. First time I've done this. Excited to get back. See you guys in a week.